Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Karma Cards. Okay, so we just had a full moon in Aries that was preceded by Pluto moving direct. So the energy has been big and it's been a little bit on the heavier side. Full moons in general sometimes they can feel great for people, other times they can feel really heavy. But with Pluto moving direct, and Pluto is one of the outer planets, so it affects us on a collective level versus just an individual level. So we're going to feel it collectively a lot, meaning that we're going to be really kind of seeing everybody shifting through that energy. And I'm going to talk about what that energy that came up during the Spirit Circle was. I'll let you know the messages. Plus, we've got, again, still a lot of incoming streaming energy. And as I'm watching the electromagnetic field, it literally looks like a roller coaster. We're like up, down, up, down. Today we're at a 4 on the KP index. And then we drop down to a 2, and it just keeps doing that. It's like, it looks like a little, for those who know roller coasters, it's like those bunny hills, right? It just keeps doing that, meaning that you might feel great one day and then really intense energy hitting you the next day. Or you might notice really intense energy affecting the people around you while it's not affecting you. And again, this is so interesting because we don't all feel it the same way. I talk about this a lot. I notice there's a lot of people who they feel it as it's coming in, and others tend to feel it as it's being absorbed. And so you kind of notice, like, I think today it's actually being absorbed with the KP index at 4. I actually feel a little better today. Yesterday, when the KP index was lower, I was feeling just spent. I was feeling spent. And that's when, the energy is coming in. So like I said, there's sort of an atmospheric grouping of people, and there's sort of a terrestrial grouping of people. And one isn't better than the other. It's just where it affects you more, right? So take a note of that. You can also track the KP index too. If you're like, man, I'm really feeling it today, take a look. And if you see that the KP is high, that might mean that you're part of that terrestrial group, where when it's low but you're really feeling it, that might mean you're more the atmospheric group. All right, so with the full moon energy, the messages were predominantly about making a choice. And with Pluto going direct, Pluto its ultimate job is to help empower us, help us move through something and get to empowerment. But I like to joke that it doesn't give you a choice. It's kind of like, imagine a Greek mythology story where you have to go into the underworld to get something, right? That's where Pluto rules, is the underworld. And so in these stories, it's like either they go willingly or they're forced to go. And that's kind of how I feel Pluto works in our life. So the reason why we're going down through the underworld, either willingly or sort of being forced to go down there, is, of course, we've got to make some change that helps create empowerment. And this is where the full moon in Aries comes in, because the themes that were coming up, and that you get these themes through how are the planets reacting as the moon is moving through its full phase. And based on how the planets were aligning with each other and what was being activated, there was a lot coming up with Chiron, right? Chiron's the wounded healer, but it represents what needs healing. And Aries represents the self, right? So healing the self coming up. And then there were a couple of other placements that were happening that were talking about choice points. We're at a choice point. And one of those placements that was really talking about this is where Mercury was trining with Pluto. So this is talking about how we have to make a change. The change that has to happen is a change in our thinking, and a change in our stories. And it has to do with how we think. So this Karma Cards is devoted to the message that Mercury trine Pluto was bringing us, was pay attention to how you're thinking, because it's either empowering you or it's disempowering you. And it's based on what you use for reference. And so as the mind Mercury, is the mind focused on the past or the future, right? So we know our power lever is in the present, that anything that actually can affect change is happening right now. But we want to know how our mind focuses. Is it past oriented or future oriented? Because what we do in this present moment will be dictated by what direction our brain is focused in. Now, most of us, and as a society, we are taught to be past oriented. Unfortunately, this is the disempowering mindset. And you know what I'm going to say, there's a reason for it. There's always like these psychological programming structures to help keep you from your power. That's very old paradigm. That shit's fallen apart. But we have to look at the fact that that's how we got there. We got there because it was designed that way, because it's disempowering. So what does it mean to be past oriented? It means that anything that you believe can happen is going to be based on what has happened, right? So if you, let's say you're trying to lose weight, for example, and in the past you tried and maybe got a little success, but then everything sort of reverted and you sort of went back to being the weight you were, or even gaining weight. And so that's your past reference. So now in this moment, if you're like, I want to lose weight, but you're past oriented, you're going to base your current success on what you've already been able to do. And if your past is littered with you sort of kind of like, making progress and backsliding and things like that, that's what you're going to expect from yourself. And that's how you're going to gauge how much energy and effort to give this endeavor. And you're probably going to repeat the past because that's how it's designed, right? If we're only using, if our locus of focus is on the past, then you're only going to do what you did in the past. That's it. However, if you change your focus and you're future oriented, the future is full of potential. It's full of possibility. And if we're actually looking at the quantum field version of the future, every possibility is playing out and exists. The one where you backslide and go backwards, that exists, all the way to the one where you are knocking it out of the park, you're so successful, and you make it through, you break through the ceiling. That also exists in the future. And it allows you, when your mind is focused in that direction, to consciously choose, if every option is available, what would I like? Right? And then you're choosing the path intentionally, versus sort of being a slave to what has happened. Well, this is all I could ever do before, so this is all I'm capable of. And now you can see how the glass ceilings inside of you get built, especially if you're past oriented. You're building your own glass ceilings. Now that might be really empowering to hear, or it might be really upsetting to hear. But nevertheless, that's how it's done. And so the amazing thing here is, to break through the glass ceiling, what do we need to do? We need to get future oriented. We have to get clarity on what's the best case scenario if everything is available to me and any outcome is possible. Which outcome would I consciously choose? And then from this present moment, which is your power lever, you're going to have to kind of tap back in to what I'm consciously choosing and what I believe is a possibility for me, and then take action based on that, versus taking action based on our past reference. Now, the other part that came up through the Mercury trine Pluto is, with that information of how are you focused, past oriented, future oriented, with that information came a little note to all of us that, hey, guess what? You're being tested and you have to choose. So this is a point that we won't get past. We don't get around this choice. And that was something that came up a few times in the astrology with that full moon, is that this is a choice point. It was very clear. Now we're about to start eclipse season coming up, I think, with the next new moon. So in just 2 weeks, we're going to be having eclipse season start, and that has a 6-month impact on us. I will talk more about that when we get to those points. But they're making it clear that this is a choice point type of energy. And it's happening right after the fall equinox. And the fall equinox represents the Earth's half year point. You know, even though in our calendar cycle, we're well beyond the half year point, in the Earth's natural cycle, fall is the half year point, right? We've gone through the spring equinox, the summer solstice, and now we're at the fall equinox. So here we are at this halfway point. We need to make a choice, and we don't get to get out of it. And it will be based on the stories we're telling ourselves. And the stories we tell ourselves are based on where our mind is focused, on the past and what we've done, or on the future and what we are capable of doing. So that's the test right now. And that's like as much of a cheat sheet I can give you guys. Is just like, this is how we have to move forward. And again, with this Pluto direct, there is you have to do this. You either do this willingly or we're going to drag you through it kind of energy. And you'll notice that people who are consciously choosing to change or make changes, make new choices, you're going to see that even though the experiences might be even trying at times, they're going to be significantly easier than someone who is refusing to change or doesn't see that this is a calling to make a shift in the self, right? It's a calling to make a shift in the self. Because as we near this ascension energy peak, when we get into this peak energy, this is the bigger test, right? This is, if you listen to Dolores Cannon's material, Earth is a school of sorts. And we're being tested and moved through grades all along the way. And the ascension point is a graduation point. And so the idea here is through this graduation point, we're moving into sovereignty, right? That's where we want to awaken to the fact that we're sovereign beings. And so the stories we tell ourselves are the very things that help either empower us and feel that sovereignty, or they hold us in a pattern of feeling not enough, disempowered, and even a victim. And in order to create real change in this world, we have to let go of victim mentality. It doesn't work. It doesn't create change. It just propagates what has already been going on. It just keeps that cycle going. So it's definitely a point in time to really look and go, okay, I'm going to pay attention to my stories. I'm going to pay attention to how I come to a conclusion about how I need to make a choice. So if you're presented with something hard or difficult this week, my advice to you is notice how you're either reacting or responding. If you're reacting, there's a good chance you're in a past mindset and that you're telling your story about how it didn't work before, or it was really hard before, and so therefore it won't work, or it'll be really hard now. And if you're responding to the challenge, you're going to notice that you're like, what do I want from this situation? What is the best outcome? How could I create that outcome for myself now? What do I need to do different now to get a different result than what I've gotten in the past? And that will show you that you're future oriented in your mind and you're going to create something new. And if you'd like support on this, if you'd like support on creating those shifts, be sure to check out the Mercury Pod coaching program, because that's my month-to-month 30-day goal setting program. But a lot of the work we do in there is mindset, because it's not that you don't know what you want, and it's not even that you don't know the steps to take to get it. Most of the time, it is the mindset that gets in the way, that keeps you from making that amazing shift that you're very, very capable of making. And so if you'd like to learn more, check it out. The next one starts in November, and I'd love to have you come join us. And until then, let's do this week's karma cards. So if you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? I've got 2 sets of answers. I got a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with your beautiful intuition and feel, what is the message you need this week? Are you looking for some action related guidance, Or are you seeking outcome energy? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you're deciding, here's the timing for this reading. This reading is for October 12th through October 17th. And the flavor of this reading, okay, we've got Mars, so we know we're going to be taking some action because it's always action related. It wants us to get direct and do things. In the sign of Virgo, so we're asking to be more detail oriented and paying attention to how our actions are impacting others. In the sign of the 10th house represents the external world. It also represents our dreams, goals, and ambitions as we achieve them, and our career can be in this category as well. So for those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to energize the serving of others responsibly. So this is interesting. I was focusing on the word responsibly, and I was listening to someone chatting recently, and they were talking about how you can hear what responsible means in the way it's written, right? Response, able to respond, right? So energize the serving of others responsibly. It's meaning being present, right? Be present with others and know where you can take action and make that the priority. Like, how can I take action here? And also we want to look at responsibly too as in a balanced way, right? What actually is a place that you can take action, and where is it for them to take action? Because we're not being called to do it for anyone else. We can't take anyone else's test, and we can't make anyone else's choice, but we can be there to respond and be able to support them. Mental action at this time. Confront the details of success. So this goes right into the topic we were just talking about. It kind of laid that out for you right there. The details of success are: where is your mindset? How is it focused? In the past or in the future? The power lever is in the present. How your mind is focused will dictate how you do something and how much energy you're going to give it. Pay attention to that. It's very important right now. And it literally is the difference between succeeding or failing right now. And I think it's always been, but it's just really highlighted right now. Physical action at this time. Force yourself to do what you must do and become a person of power and status. All right. So hearing that, the way it's phrased, could be a turn on or a turn off depending on how you hear power and status. But remember, sovereignty, personal power, standing in your own power. And so it's saying at this time, there's going to be resistance. When we're making a change in our mindset, we're experiencing just as much resistance as when we're trying to make a change anywhere else in our life, because the resistance is in the mind. It's always been in the mind. It's not that it's hard to get up and go for a walk if you've been sedentary. It's the thoughts around that tell you it's hard or not, as an example. So we're being asked to sort of buck up right now and just get over that resistance. It's like you can acknowledge it, but don't fall for it. There's a couple of different, things we can do for ourselves that would encourage us to get over it. Like, if something takes less than 5 minutes, just do it, right? You're like, consider how long a task would take. And if it takes under 5 minutes, do it immediately, as an example of what they're saying when they say, force yourself to do what you must do. Because getting over this mental resistance, getting over the mindset that is holding you away from your success, is what's going to create your success. That's the thing that you need to do different. Whatever's holding you back from doing the thing you need to do, that's the thing you've got to change, that resistance. All right, now let's look at the outcomes for Mars in Virgo in the 10th house of external world, success, and career. The spiritual outcome at this time is the drive for methods for the healing power of your destiny. So each one of us holds potential. Each one of us holds destiny. We have our own sphere of destiny that's always calling to us. It's that thing that is also nagging at us. It's our higher self. It's It's source itself, but it's our destiny, the contract, the thing we said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of this time. This lifetime is the lifetime I get this shit together, right? That's part of our destiny. It's calling to us. And when we align with it, we absolutely heal, because on a soul level, that's soul level healing, just like I talked about in last week's karma cards. So aligning to your destiny, tapping into your full potential, really does have a deep soul healing effect on you. And what they're saying is right now you're feeling that call of destiny, and you're sensing how important it is for you to rearrange this mindset. If you notice that you fall into the past, and look, we do this compartmentally sometimes. Some areas of your life, you might be very future oriented, like you can let yourself have the vision and move towards it. Other areas of life, we've sort of compartmentalized as this is the way it is. And if that's where your thinking is, then you know that's past oriented thinking. So again, we're going to wake up to, holy crap, yeah, actually, in certain parts of my life, I'm sort of resigned to this pattern of behavior. And now you have an opportunity, as soon as you can see it, now it's playtime. It means, yeah, I could actually shift this. So it's going to naturally be a period where you're going to want to look at it. Just the way the energies are flowing, we're already kind of perked up to it. The more aware of this you are, the more of a handle you already have on this. This means that you're already moving in this present moment, the levers, right? The power levers from the past to the future. So let that drive you. Mental outcome, the confronting of, analyzing of where you're going, right? So again, just as keeps reinforcing it, the clearer you are around where you want to go, the higher probability of success. And a good way to think about this is just, on a map, right? On the map means nothing until you have the destination. As soon as you have the destination, then you can see the routes to get there. Then there might be one really good route or several that you could choose from. But until you plunk down that destination point, it's just a map showing you the potential area and everything around you. Get clear, right? The clarity of where am I going? Pick a direction. And that's why focusing in the future is such a powerful place to put your mind, because it's like finally when you pick that destination point, the route appears, the path that you're seeking appears. You've got to pick somewhere to go. Now I know I have some lovely, beautiful friends who are like, I'm afraid to choose because what if I don't like it when I get there? Well, the beautiful thing is nothing's going to hold you there, right? And you might find along your journey that actually I saw a different direction I'd like to go in, and now I'm really focused on that. At this point, if you don't have a destination point, pick something. You can change your mind. The universe isn't going to lock you in. You have the free will to shift, but until you have direction, nothing is going to congeal for you. Nothing's going to start to solidify and make sense and give you a sense of where to go. So if you're feeling confusion right now, if you're feeling like the path is not clear, what it's trying to let you know is you actually haven't picked a destination point. And it's okay to pick one. And yes, there will be other points that you want to go to. They'll still be there and they'll still be achievable. But we've got to pick something. And, I fall into this category sometimes, not because I don't have a sense of direction, but because I have like 5 directions that I want to go in. And my team always says, all those ideas, all those plans and passions you have, they're like horses in a horse race. And they're like, but only one can get across the finish line. So you've got to nurture one of them if you want to move the needle. And so if you're like me and you're a multi-passionate person who doesn't want to miss anything, we still have to pick a destination. We still have to give something our attention and our focus so we can get some clarity, and the path will reveal itself to us. So again, if you're working with FOMO, right, fear of missing out, what we got to know is it's all going to be there. But until you pick something and give it your attention and focus, you're sort of at a standstill. So I hope that helps. If this is you, if you feel what I feel, then I'm talking to you. And just know it's safe to choose. You're not going to miss out. And physical outcome at this time, action resulting from the perfectionism of your career. And again, career comes from the 10th house. It's very much connected to that. But if you're not feeling it's career oriented, you can change the word career to destination. But again, this is the perfectionism of your destination or your career, if that's you. Again, it is illuminating, immediately lets you know, okay, if that's where I'm going, then this is the step I have to take to get there. This is the road I'm going to travel to get there. And then it'll show you all the steps. That's the beauty of clarity. And the clearer we are about what we want to experience and where we want to go and what we want that to look like, the easier the steps are to identify. They almost show up to you and say, hey, take this step. So hopefully this reading has been inspiring and energizing. We've got a great thing to focus on this week. Something, I mean, at least I'm an Aries by nature, so this is like right in my wheelhouse, but it's giving us a really clear path forward. Get out of the past, focus in on the future. The clearer you are about what you want or where you want to go, the path will show itself and the steps you need to take will be clear. And with that, I'm wishing you a beautiful and successful week. Mwah. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.